nature, things of that 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 nature.
All right, welcome into the Pod of That Nature Transfer Portal Edition live stream. John Neighbors alongside Curtis Wilkerson. And if we're live right now and you get that notification bell on your phone, that means that Arkansas added another transfer portal piece, this time in the tight end position. Montana State junior college transfer, or I guess just transfer in general, Rohan Jones, who's 6'3", 235 pounds, from Montreal, Quebec. So you got your Canadian now. But played in the FCS National Championship. And Curtis, we know that Arkansas, again, adding pieces, getting guys to add some depth. Tight end position was definitely one of the positions of need since they lost literally everybody in the tight end room, except for Andreas Poski. But getting one that seems to be more on the receiving side of the tight end position instead of the blocking side.
Yeah, they definitely needed a tight end that could catch footballs, or at least has demonstrated the ability to do that. And anytime you can get a Canadian on the football team, I just feel like it's a good thing. They're definitely good for morale, known for being nice. Hopefully he's got a mean streak on the football field. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, 30 catches for 470 yards and 9 touchdowns in 2024. Like you mentioned, played in the FCS Championship game, and they were the runner up there. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those, you hope it's a diamond in the rough type addition, somebody that could maybe, take the arc of, an Andrew Armstrong or Isaac Tesla or insert whatever name in terms of those lower level guys who have transferred up and had success at Arkansas. And we'll see what he looks like. Played at Maine for a couple seasons before he made his last stop at Montana State. Caught 31 passes there, 363 yards and 7 touchdowns. So he gets in the end zone at the level that he's at. So we can give him credit for that. And like you mentioned, it adds to a room where they needed to make some more additions for sure. Now you got this guy, you got Jaden Platt, you got Poska, you got, they got the freshman coming in, Gavin Garrettson. Is that what his name is? Yep. Yeah. So you're starting to fill out that room a little bit, which is what they needed to do. Nobody that's going to replace the talent of Luke has, but as many people would like to point out, it doesn't seem like tight end utilization is a big focal point of the offense. So you need some capable bodies in there, and maybe this is one of them.
I can't believe you forgot Maddox Lassiter, man. Or did you say Maddox Lassiter?
I didn't. I always think of him as a fullback, but he's a Swiss Army knife. Who am I to label him with a position?
Yeah, seriously, he can play any position. Anytime that, even if they add a new defensive back, we're just gonna be like, Maddox Lassiter could be in there too. It's just as added to the depth. But that was going to be the fascinating thing of knowing that you lost all your tight ends, but the tight end position wasn't exactly utilized a whole lot this year. I mean, obviously Luke has, knowing the type of talent that he had, and him leaving and Gums leaving, and of course Ty Washington leaving. It was going to be interesting to see if you got blocking tight ends, but are you going to try to find somebody that's in the receiving position? And I just watched a few of his highlights, and I mean, it's definitely there. I mean, you see why that they were so interested in him. And before folks start freaking out, like, oh, Montana State, he's not in SEC. Okay. Well, here's the thing. He had offers to various other schools too that were in college football that weren't just schools that you've never even heard of. Reported offers from Arkansas, Wake Forest, Houston, Louisville, UCLA, North Carolina, and Kentucky. So it wasn't just like, hey, this was the only offer that he had to any school worth anything, and he just happened to take it. There were a lot of other schools that were on him as well, but definitely has looks like some great hands. He's got some swagger to him too. I watched one of the interviews that they had to sit down with him up at Montana State, and you could tell that he's very confident in himself. And I think they even put out the tweet calling him an offensive weapon. Is that what they refer to him as? And so that's apparently, like, I don't know if it's a nickname, but last year when he signed from Maine to Montana State said that same thing as well. It's like, and they put it in quotes, offensive weapon. So maybe that's a nickname. Maybe that's just what he's known for. But I like the idea that they at least have an option there that is known for his receiving. I like his size. I like the swagger that he has. Can it translate to the SEC? Can it translate into a system that didn't utilize tight ends much last year? We'll wait and see. But it was a nice to at least get this type of tight end in this position and in a group that you always need some help with as much as possible as well. So.
Yeah, definitely at this stage of the game too, because like you knew you had to go get a couple tight ends, and it was either wait until the spring period and hope some, appear out of thin air, or, make some additions here. And so they went out and got this one. I know they're still in the mix for the junior college kid they got in on here recently, Jeremiah Beck. I think he's committed to Nevada or signed with Nevada or something, but I know that's one that they're in on too. It wouldn't surprise me if they wind up with both of those guys, because even with this addition, just for the standpoint of depth, you probably need another body there.
Yeah. You're going to need help with it. And, we're going to have some scholarship offers, for other places too. And we'll see if they get adding to the mix. But looking at the Jeremiah Beck guy, he's a 6'4", 240 guy. So pretty similar sized to what this kid is from. I just love the name, first off, Rohan, because I always think of Rohan Gaines back in 2014, 2013. We played for Arkansas. Love the name Rohan. So Arkansas continues to add to the all-name team of their transfers for football side of things. But I guess the question is, Curtis, because, obviously I'm going to tweet out on our Inside Arkansas Live, our Inside Arkansas accounts, folks, a little highlight video if you want to see what you're getting with the tight end position and Rohan Jones. But the tight end position, we already mentioned it multiple times. It wasn't really utilized a lot this year. And so the question becomes, was that by choice? Was that a decision? Was it made because, hey, we just don't want to feature tight ends? Was it something with something like Taylon Green? Was it something just because you had the wide receivers? I'm going to be curious of what that looks like. Is it just you're bringing in tight ends to just be bodies? Because that's essentially what all they'll be if you're going to use the same system and the same placement as last year. Or is this something that Arkansas really does need to focus a little bit more on and try to target a little bit more some of these tight ends, especially somebody like Rohan Jones, because it can really help out and open up your offense in the middle of the field?
Yeah, it is going to be interesting to see. And the answer might be like how or what kind of strides the offensive line makes, because part of the reason that we were told that, Luke Has or the tight ends weren't being utilized that much is because they had to be relied into to help chip in and block, so much last season, especially when Arkansas was struggling there up front. So maybe if these new offensive line additions kind of help this group take a step forward, then they can actually focus on utilizing those guys in the passing game a little bit more. Ideally, they're good at both, but yeah, that's a very, very good question. I wonder what the sell has been, to these guys out of the portal. Cause if I'm, somebody who's a tight end getting ready to go to Arkansas, I'm like, okay, so you guys had Luke Has. If I'm a tight end, I know exactly who he is. It didn't work out there. Now he's transferred to Ole Miss. So please, Mr. Petrino, let me know why I should come play for your football team. Especially these guys that you mentioned the offer list, like they had other options. So I know Platt played for him, while he was at Texas A&M. So that's an easy enough sell there. But for this guy who's trying to, he's been highly productive at a lower level and is looking to, I'm sure, make his mark and prove himself at the SEC. And he probably has aspirations beyond that. It's like, okay, I'm sure that there's some kind of assurance, or at least they laid out a plan for how they're going to utilize him. And I bet it wasn't all for blocking.
No. I think that it again, maybe it's a reckless assumption, but I'm just assuming that they went in with a plan and to go to the kid like this and saying, okay, this is what our plan is for you. And this is how we're going to get you the ball. And this is the type of packages we're going to build for you and everything. Because again, I know that they're on trying to get another Jeremiah Beck with the tight end position too. But as of right now, and he listed off the tight ends that they'll have on the roster currently, I mean, the only one that looks like could be a legit weapon in the receiving game or at least the passing game is this guy. I mean, Andreas Poski caught 2 touchdown passes against Mississippi State, but I just don't think that there's any reason to look at him and be like, oh yeah, that guy's going to be a huge threat in the passing game. And we know the Platt kid from A&M, he's definitely more of the blocking tight end. So maybe that was the selling point of you're going to be our number one receiving tight end. Maybe you're the guy, and then these other guys are going to be more of blocking and more of decoys or whatever it may be. There had to be something to sell, because that was the first thing I thought of too, is just if you're a tight end, why would you go to Arkansas? If you're a high level tight end with other places, why would you go to Arkansas at this point in time? So there must have been something there, but I'll be curious to see how it works out. Maybe something we see a little bit more in spring. Maybe you have to wait on it, but they at least understand that there was a need for a receiving tight end, and this is a guy that had some nice little offers too. He's a good sized guy, and maybe he's going to be a big part of the passing game. But I don't know. I'm skeptical because of just the lack of tight end use that they had this last year.
Yeah, for sure, and rightfully so. But yeah, I mean, here we are now. I know that this was Well, yeah, I guess he was in the transfer portal. FCS counts for the transfer portal edition. So what are they up to now? 19, 20 maybe?
I believe, yeah, I think 20. I
Yeah.
believe. I have to double
Or
check.
well, and heck, AJ Green's back, although he's not a
Yeah,
not a scholarship guy. So who knows? But they're
right.
approaching 24 additions here. So now it's just going to be a few pieces here and there to kind of fill this thing out. I keep thinking that they're done until the spring portal window opens up, but I've thought that, and then they wound up closing on Caleb Wooten, and then you wind up getting AJ Green back here in a weird scenario, and now you get this kid, and they're talking to a JUCO tight end. So I wonder how many spots they're actually going to have available in the spring. I know some guys are going to leave from Arkansas too. That'll create some openings, but just thinking about maybe what they need to wrap this thing up, just in terms of holes on the roster or places where they have fewer numbers. I mean, I think we continue to think about defensive line probably.
Mhm.
It's who knows about running back, John, because
Yeah.
we were sitting there calling AJ Green a defensive back, and then he's responding to stories about it saying he's going to be a running back. Maybe he's going to do both. I don't know, but it seems like they're starting to fill in and fill up, I guess, at most spots out there on the field.
Well, I guess the question would be, would you rather, I know we're talking about this tight end, but with AJ Green, would you rather have him try him at defensive back, or would you rather have him at the running back position? Because we've already seen him at running back. I know he's coming off an injury and all of that. We've seen him at running back, haven't seen him at defensive back. And it seems like they have a bigger need for a running back than a defensive back. But then again, it doesn't really, not the same position. So I don't know, like what would be the better option for him, as far as, if assuming you don't add any more defensive backs or any more running backs to the roster?
And to me, I think he'd be better at running back. I mean, honestly,
Yeah, same.
he's kind of the most, if he's healthy, of course, and that's the big thing with him coming back from that injury. But I mean, he's kind of the most proven, experienced running back on the roster, I guess. He's definitely done more than Braylon Russell, and we can argue about who's got the higher upside there. The Mike Washington guy, like I mean, you had to get him, and he's definitely going to be a guy that's going to be in the mix there. But I don't know that I'm looking at him and thinking, boy, there's your Jaquindon Jackson replacement, So I feel like he could actually help him at running back if he's, assuming he's healthy there with that leg injury. So I know that he was highly coveted as a defensive back coming out of high school. I don't know if it's if you don't use it, you lose it type of situation. He hasn't played that spot in a long time. I just feel like the pathway for him to get on the field and contribute would probably be at the position he's played in his entire career. But what the heck do I know?
Yeah, I know. That's what I agree with you 100%. And it seems like it makes sense to me, but we've seen plenty of things that made sense to us and doesn't actually transpire into that. Yeah. So we'll see what the rest of it holds. I believe, Curtis, again, I'm doing my numbers and looking at it. They're actually up to 21, if I'm not mistaken, to incoming transfer
That
portal
sounds
guy.
about right.
Yeah. And the fact that he's Canadian is, someone was asking in the chat, there was a Canadian wide receiver that Arkansas used to have. Do you remember? I don't remember a Canadian wide receiver. I'm sure it'll be one of those things that'll pop in. The only player I remember from Canada for Arkansas was freaking Olu Famutimi. I know you remember that name.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. And I don't know if he was actually Canadian, but Gabe Osaboyan was he was definitely playing in Canada for the longest. I don't know if he was actually Canadian or not, but
Yeah.
that was one too. But I mean, it's kind of crazy if you think about, we're talking about the all name team and everything like that, but how about just the you're gonna have to hang a bunch of flags in the tight end room, I mean, Denmark, Canada, America, you got 3 flags in a room that's got like 4 guys in it. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah. At the beginning of the games, we're going to have the national anthems for United States, and then Canada, and then have it for Finland or Denmark, I guess. Yeah. So just have a bunch of national anthems beforehand to make sure everyone's represented. But yeah, definitely a lot of great names, sounding names at least, and also guys from all over the place too. So, but yeah, so there you go, folks. It's Arkansas adding a tight end, and again, another position group getting added into the mix with Rohan Jones out of Montana. So, but yeah, any final thoughts, Curtis, before we roll out here?
No, not really. I am intrigued by this one though. It's just, and I think directly to Arkansas's track record of, like taking these FCS guys and turn them into something pretty decent there at the SEC level. And they've done it at the skill positions. And I wonder if they see some of the same qualities in this kid, and we'll see what he looks like in the spring, and we'll see in the fall. But this one is a little bit more intriguing to me than maybe some of the other, kind of lower level or under the radar additions that they made.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm looking at it too. There's intrigue because of the upside, because of his athleticism, because of the type of tight end he could be, and the type of difference that he could be if he really works out to the Razorback passing game, because we know they need all the help they can get in the offensive playmaking positions. So we'll have to wait and see, but we will wait, and we'll always have all of it happening right here in Inside Arkansas, folks. So be sure to subscribe to us here on our YouTube channel, as well as following us across all social media platforms in Inside Arkansas. You can also download and subscribe to the Pod of That Nature podcast on the audio forums on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever podcasts are found. And of course, you can check out our website at InsideArkansas.com for all the latest and greatest up-to-date information on all things Razorbacks. So for Curtis Wilkerson, I'm John Neighbors, same sports show, same sports channel. Next time we see you, have a great rest of your day, everybody. We'll see you then.